I was around 11 years old when this happened. One summer evening, I took my bike and rode down a quiet road just outside Gettysburg. People didn't openly talk about that road, but they avoided it. I didn't think much of it at the time. The sun was low, the light fading into that dim orange tone just before sunset, and I kept riding deeper until the houses disappeared and the trees closed in around the path. After a certain point, something changed. The sounds faded. No birds, no wind, just the dry, repetitive sound of my bike tires on the road. It wasn't silence exactly, but it felt controlled, like the environment had gone still on purpose. Ahead, I noticed a small clearing. The ground looked different there, almost uneven in color, and the trees around it bent inward in a way that didn't feel natural. On one side, there was a section of broken wooden fence, old and worn down. I slowed, but didn't stop completely. That's when I saw it. Standing near the edge of the trees, just inside the shadow, was a figure. At first glance, it looked like a person, but the longer I looked, the more wrong it felt. It wasn't moving, not even slightly, and the light didn't hit it properly. Its face was just dark, like it absorbed everything around it. I didn't call out. Something in me knew I shouldn't. I just stared. And then I noticed something I still can't explain. Every time I looked away for even a second, it felt like it had moved closer. But when I looked back, it was standing exactly where it had been. I slowly turned my bike around and started heading back the way I came. I didn't look behind me at first. I just kept moving. Then I heard it, a dragging sound coming from the woods to my right, like something heavy being pulled across dry leaves. It wasn't random, it was matching my pace. If I pedaled faster, it got faster. If I slowed, it slowed. That's when panic started to set in. I pushed harder, trying to get out of that stretch of road, but something felt wrong. The road didn't seem to end. The same trees, the same shadows, repeating over and over. It felt longer than it should have been. At some point, I couldn't help it. I turned my head for just a second. It wasn't by the trees anymore. It was on the road, closer than it should have been. Not running, not walking, but the distance between us was shrinking. I didn't wait to understand it. I pedaled as hard as I could. My legs were burning, my breathing was uneven, and then I heard it again, this time much closer. That dragging sound, right behind me now, like it had left the woods completely. I didn't look back again, I just kept going. Then suddenly, everything stopped. The normal sounds came back. Birds, wind, the distant hum of something far away. The road looked familiar again. I slowed down, barely able to breathe, and finally looked back. There was nothing there, just an empty road. A few days later, I went back during the daytime. Same road, same turns, but the clearing was gone. No broken fence, no open space, just dense trees like the rest of the area. There was no sign that anything had ever been there. But the one thing I can't forget is what I saw in that last moment when I looked back. It wasn't walking. It was moving toward me, without its feet ever touching the ground.
My name is Daniel Harper. I was 14 at the time. That evening, just after sunset, I was riding my bike home through a wooded shortcut outside Asheville. I had used this trail countless times before, every tree, every bend memorized. But the moment I entered that stretch of the forest, something felt off. It wasn't a sound or a movement, just a presence. The deeper I rode, the quieter everything became. Birds stopped singing, insects vanished, even the wind seemed to hold its breath. The only sound was my tires grinding against the dirt, unnaturally loud, as if the trail itself was listening. I didn't stop, though I slowed, and then I heard it. From somewhere behind me, faint but unmistakable, a voice called out, "Daniel, stop." It was my mother's voice, perfectly familiar, every inflection, every syllable, like she was standing right behind me. But she was at home, making dinner, miles away. I froze. Slowly, I turned my head. Nothing. Just empty trees, shadows, silence. My heart thumped in my chest. I told myself it was my imagination and pedaled faster, refusing to look back. But a few seconds later, it came again, closer this time. "Daniel, listen, stop." The tone was exactly the same as my mother's, but cold, hollow, emotionless. Every word sounded correct, perfectly mimicked, but it wasn't her. My body went rigid. I forced my legs to keep pedaling, trying to put as much distance as I could between myself and whatever this was. Then I heard it, the sound of footsteps dragging across dry leaves from the right side of the trail. Slow, deliberate, keeping pace with me. Faster I pedaled, and it kept pace, perfectly synchronized. It wasn't chaotic like an animal. It was measured, purposeful, mocking.
And then I realized it wasn't behind me. It was beside me, on the edge of the trail, hidden in the shadows, moving in perfect parallel with me. I didn't dare look directly at it. A tiny, irrational instinct told me that if I did, everything would change. I kept my eyes forward, chest heaving, legs burning, not daring to stop. Suddenly, the voice changed. It wasn't my mother anymore. It was my own. "Daniel, stop." Every word, every tone, perfectly me. My hands gripped the handlebars so hard my knuckles whitened. I knew in that moment it was trying to control me. I pushed harder, ignoring the screaming in my lungs, ignoring the trembling of my legs, but the trail seemed to stretch endlessly. The same trees, the same shadows, the same bends repeated over and over, longer than they should have been. I felt trapped in a loop. Then the voice came again, from directly in front of me. "Come this way." I slammed the brakes. In the middle of the trail, a figure stood, human-shaped, completely still. The light didn't fall on it naturally. Its face was a void, featureless darkness, but I knew it was watching me. The distance wasn't far enough for comfort, yet far enough that I could not define its size. Then, from my right, the voice came again, my own voice, whispered, soft, unyielding. "Don't go that way." I turned, nothing but trees, shadows, silence. My eyes snapped forward, empty trail. The figure was gone, but the fear didn't lift. Every instinct screamed that it was still there, somewhere in the forest. I pedaled as fast as I could, not daring to stop, until I finally broke out of the woods. The distant glow of houses greeted me. Normal sounds returned. Birds, wind, the faint hum of the evening. I didn't slow until I reached home. When I walked inside, my mother was in the kitchen, completely normal. She looked up and said casually, "Why are you so late?" I didn't answer. I couldn't, because the voice, my mother's and then mine, still echoed in my head. That night I couldn't sleep. Every shadow seemed to move. Every creak, every gust of wind, I imagined it was there. Days later, I heard it again, faint, distant, almost a whisper, but I knew. It was a voice, my voice, softly, taunting, unyielding. "Daniel."
and then it stopped. I'm here.